Hi,
Hey,
Valerie. Hello.
hello. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm pleased to be here. Thanks for covering us.
Where are you right now? Are you actually
This
in
is New
Wales or
York. We're
you're
in New
in New
York.
York?
We're here. Then next week we go to LA for a nice launch. So fun times, good times.
Oh, very cool. So I have to ask, you've already rebooted the show once, obviously, rather successfully, I would say. So what made you want to come back again to do it all over again? And what was your approach and how was it
It
different this time?
It was the chance to make it even bigger. I'm just hungry. And I can't believe that there are still people that don't watch Doctor Who. We got the highest viewing figures it's ever got. We were the #1 show in Britain. And we got amazing figures in other countries of the world, but just not enough. And so the BBC were ambitious. They always wanted the show to be bigger. They just believed in Doctor Who. It's an old, fantastic tradition of the BBC. The two things are woven together, Doctor Who and the BBC. And they've always had such faith in it. To have a proper television in Britain. You get Tarzan, you get Sherlock Holmes, and you get Doctor Who. And he's the one television legend. The others are from literature, but he's a proper British television legend, and there's not many of those. So there's this enormous pride that wanted to take it forward into being a great big streaming show. We'd look at Stranger Things and stuff like that. Love that show, but I'd just be jealous. I'd just be envious, and I'd also be sad that people were watching that and not seeing Doctor Who. So they had that impetus. They asked me, and I literally took 3 seconds to say, I completely agree. I had already independently, while not working for the BBC, I'd already thought the same thing about the show, that it was time to take it up a level. And as to how to do that, we go into a partnership with Disney Plus because their shows are the best, and I love their ethos, I love their vision, I love their standards, and that was a very natural fit, especially when they're the ones bringing all those science fiction franchises to the screen so joyfully. I love those shows. So that wasn't up to me. That was decided on a business level at the BBC, but I was very happy to go along with that. And as for how I did it, I just sat down and thought of my job really was to think of a Doctor Who that fitted into 2024. But really, as you can see when you get the end results, what it's all about, what the programme's always been about, is casting. And actually once Mr. Ncuti Gatwa walked into that audition room, and I was there, that wasn't one of those auditions on tape, it was an actual, very rare these days to have a physical audition in person. That doesn't happen much anymore, ever since the pandemic, and to be there in the room when he walked in was one of the great moments of my life. Genuinely, it was like, wow, this is it, this is the Doctor, here he is. And then the same, when we did Millie's audition, we'd already cast Ncuti, so we got the chance to put the two of them together. Sparks, fizz, fireworks, right on the spot. We couldn't stop the two of them laughing. So then it was kind of my job and my duty and actually my honour to follow that, to try and just capture those two and put that on screen, and I could not be happier with the finished result.
When you did reboot before, it had obviously been quite some time since Doctor Who had been on our screens, and since any New Who. So that kind of gave you a clean slate to really reboot and introduce a new audience. Now you're still following on the footsteps of Chibnall and Moffat and what they've introduced. So how does that add, or does that add an extra layer of difficulty because you have their lore to service as well?
I don't think so. I think I know my lore well enough to be clever with it and nimble with it. And it's also worth saying, actually, we never ever call it a reboot. Even in 2005, we didn't call it a reboot because I think its remarkable quality is that it has been the same story since 1963. It's one story of one person. And it's had all sorts of different forms, but it's never said that it's a completely new start at any point. And I love that. So I've always had that. I've always had that history of the show. And it's the show's always been very marvellously resilient. Sometimes it'll introduce things into the lore that will work. Sometimes it introduced things that don't. When Paul McGann came along and was a one-off Doctor in 1996, that episode suddenly declared that his mother was human. And all of us fans sat there and blinked and went, oh, right, that's news to us. And we've marvellously ignored that ever since. That's strangely never been mentioned ever since. And that's not my version of Doctor Who, but it's such an imaginative show that if you want to just think ways around that, it's a time travel show. So you can invent all sorts of timey-wimey solutions to that if you want to. So I love the fact that although it's one narrative and has never been rebooted, it's never got caught on its own continuity. But it was important this time to sort of say, actually, this is a worldwide platform. Suddenly, it's being translated into languages it's never been available in before. It's also very well worldwide, but not in all these languages, not always with subtitles. And I think that, for me, that's thrilling. That's you know, the best thing we can do in this life is to become one world and one globe and all fight together. And if we have to do that through science fiction franchises, then that's the battlefield I'm on. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity. So that I've written it as fresh and open and new. Say, please, new viewers, come and join in here.
So you mentioned that you can pick and choose kind of the lore. So I feel like I'm one of the few people who actually really enjoyed the Timeless Child story. I know
great. Yes.
There's a very vocal minority who really didn't like it. Was there ever a time where you thought about ignoring that? Because I'm glad you're not.
Thank you. Absolutely never to be. I mean, Chris Chibnall is my friend, but even if that was irrelevant, those episodes were transmitted about 18 months ago. I don't think you can step into a show, say you're not rebooting it, and 18 months ago the Doctor said that her origins were unknown and she did not know what planet she was from, that she was an orphan, that she was a foundling. I can't go and step on that. I think, and I don't just mean for fans. I mean for ordinary, faithful viewers sitting there watching it every week, and that's most of the audience. Most of the audience is not that sort of fan, but are happy watchers of Doctor Who. And it would be an insult to them, I think, to sort of say everything you listened to 18 months ago, I've just ignored. That I think it's just not fair. And also, I found interesting things in The Timeless Child. It's like I don't honestly think, and I love Chris, and I'd say this to his face, I don't think the words timeless child mean much. If I was to say that to my mum or to my sisters or to my friends, they go, well, what's a timeless child? What's a Deathly Hallow? I mean, what is a Deathly Hallow? I've forgotten what a Deathly Hallow is. It's like, can you remember what a Deathly Hallow is? It's a thing. You know, those fantasy words don't mean much, but what does mean a lot, if you say he's an orphan, if you say he's a foundling, if you say he doesn't know where he's from, if you say he was adopted by the Time Lords, which means he is still a Time Lord. To be adopted by someone is to become them. And you know, adopted people will say that very passionately to you, that their mother or father is their mother or father. So I think that starts to resonate. I think people start to feel what that means. So I've carried on that tradition in that sense, in terms of its emotions and feelings.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm thrilled you're carrying on with it, and I'm so happy you're back because I really loved your time on the show. Not that I haven't liked the last two showrunners either, but thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to see more.
I appreciate that, Valerie. Thank you very much.